Okay, good morning. This is Q1 Help Video, Chapter 2, Section 2 Reading Assignment. So today, in this video, I'm going to go quickly through what you should have done for this particular reading assignment. Now, this reading assignment was a little different. I did it on a Jamboard, and I do things on different mediums to try and give you guys just a slightly different experience, to give you guys the opportunity, as you can see here, to interact with media in a different way. So actually express your thoughts or express your answers in a different way other than just randomly grabbing pictures off the internet and throwing down whatever you found. So this assignment here was over the three reading pages here. It's actually like 6 pages for you to go through. And it's all over the flow of energy in an ecosystem. Obviously, that's what the title says. So this was us getting into understanding food chains and food webs, what heterotrophs and autotrophs are. This kind of tied into ecosystem roles, okay? Because essentially, if you're a omnivore or a carnivore, you're a secondary consumer. If you are a herbivore, well, then you're a primary consumer. So these really tie into how matter and energy flow through the ecosystem. It comes from the sun, goes into your producers or your plants, your autotrophs. That's what an autotroph is. It's a producer, right? And the energy is then turned into glucose. And glucose is turned into things like cellulose and starch and other things. And then your primary consumers, your herbivores, one of your deals here, come in and they eat those producers. And then they take that energy, those different molecules created by the plants that, they got the energy from the sun to do it. They take those and then they turn it into things like lipids, fats, proteins, things that your omnivores and your carnivores can digest. So this whole thing is how we get energy from the sun, and it flows through the entire ecosystem. So the reading here and the assignment here really is for you to go through and define the words, the terms. And the reason I make you define the terms every week or every time we cover a new subject is because there's a whole lot of different words, terminology that's necessary for understanding science and scientific concepts. So a lot of people get frustrated, like, why do I have to learn all these new words? Well, because one word like autotroph can basically take an entire concept, all of this extra information, and it boils it down to a single uttered phrase, autotroph. So instead of having a conversation of, organisms that make their own food using the sun via photosynthesis, you just say autotroph and you can continue on. So you're taking multiple concepts or one big concept, you're boiling it down to a single word. And what that does is it makes it easier to have conversations about even deeper concepts. So understanding and being able to use the words in science correctly is actually really important to being able to communicate even deeper concepts. So that's why vocabulary is an important thing for us. I know it's rote memorization. That's mainly what it is. You're just trying to memorize these words. And that's, not the deepest form of learning, but it is necessary to get yourself to a deeper form of learning. So, it's a stepping stone to get yourself to where you want to go in science. So anyways, that ramble aside, what you're doing in this assignment is fairly simple. You're going through and you're writing the definition. You can expand these word boxes and just simply type it in here. The definition of an autotroph is an organism that creates its own food via photosynthesis. Okay, or you can have a different, definition than that, but that's close enough. And then you can either draw what an autotroph is, or you can go find a picture of what an autotroph is, or a picture that represents what autotrophs are, and you just put it here. Same thing with heterotrophs, things that eat other creatures to get their energy. They don't make their own. So you'll do that for all of your different vocabulary words. And then when you get to this part, this is the one that tripped people up the most. I did include some resources here to kind of help you if you can't figure out the difference between these things. But this is a 3-way Venn diagram. So to make this a little easier on you, to quickly go through it, a trophic and energy pyramid, so that's the pyramid thing with the top predators, secondary, primary, producers, and then decomposers surrounding the whole thing. What characteristics about that are solely about the energy pyramid? I'll give you one. The energy pyramid represents how much energy flows to the next trophic level. These just describe who eats who. So this describes who eats who to an extent, but the main point that this is discussing, that this demonstrates, is how energy flows to the next trophic level, the next, whoever ate the thing below, and how much energy gets to it. So that's a big difference here. So you would want to take a sticky note and you would want to type in something to that effect. So the energy pyramid describes how much energy flows to the next trophic level. And then you would add that little sticky note in and drag it over here. And then you would do the same thing for food web. What is different between a food web and a food chain? Well, a food chain is a very simple one, and a food web is more complex. So you'd want to talk about something maybe like that. Well, what characteristics does a trophic pyramid and the food web share together? That's what this space is for. What about food chain and trophic pyramid right here? What about food web and food chain? What do they share? So you got to figure those things out. It could be something that they both don't have. That might make it a little bit easier for you. And then what things or thing does all three share? Well, it describes who eats who. This describes who eats who, this describes who eats who, and this describes who eats who in the ecosystem. So you would have a sticky note here saying something like that. So that should give you a fairly good, example to get you started. And then, we got two more of your definitions and writings, and then you have some questions here at the end. Now, you can answer these individually, or you can try to just have one big answer to answer all of these collectively at one time. Just make sure you're addressing each part. So how the energy pyramid works, you need to explain this. So you actually need to get an energy pyramid here. You can either draw it, you can go find one online, and then I want you either in writing or in your drawings, explain how that thing works. What is this thing trying to demonstrate to whoever is viewing it? Like, what's the point of it? Now, in that explanation, you also want to explain why only 10% of the energy from each trophic level goes to the next. So why is that? There's some very simple reasons, but I want you to explain it out in writing. And then why biomass decreases so rapidly as you ascend the energy pyramid? Well, that has something to do with this right here. So this ties into the next question. And then how do detrivores fit into the pyramid and why are they so important? Detrivores, detritivores, or decomposers, it's all the same thing, things that break down dead stuff. How do they fit into the pyramid? Because if you look at the pyramid, most of them don't include your decomposers, but they are part of it. So how do they fit in there? Are they on their own trophic level at the bottom? Are they somewhere at the top? Are they just surrounding the whole thing, waiting for something to die? I want you to explain that. And then also explain why they're so important. Mainly why they're so important has to do more with biomass than with the energy. So there's a good hint for you, okay? So that is the Chapter 2, Section 2 reading assignment. Fairly straightforward. And I hope that was helpful for you. So if you need any additional help on this assignment, feel free to shoot me an email. Otherwise, this is episode 6 of Q1 Help Videos, and I'm signing off.